Hello and welcome to Lazy Minutes channel. My name is Gintara and today we are going to talk about best clays for sculpting. Chavant clay modeling is a non-sulfur clay, meaning that if you want to make multiple copies of something you will have zero problem, since that minimizes difficulties associated to mold making with silicone rubber. It has a few hardness levels: soft, medium, this one is the most popular among artists, and hard. Since this is an oil-based clay, you have a limited time to shape. I used this clay for small prosthetics as well as the big ones, and sometimes it does take months for me to create something that I really like, so time-wise perfect. Reusability is great. I bought 2 chunks of soft clay and I'm still using 2/3 of my first chunk for over a year now. Chavant clay can also be baked in the oven to make it softer and easier to shape. Downsides for me is that it is a sticky clay. It gets on every sculpting tool and on working surface. I personally find it too difficult to work with, we just don't click. Monster clay is a non-sulfur and oil-based clay as well. You can bake it in the oven in order to get it softer, and it is extremely reusable. And like Chavant, it has a few hardness levels: soft, medium, and hard. However, this is where the similarities end. Even when it's warm, it does not stick to the tools as annoyingly as the Chavant does, and when it's cool, it's cool. It stays put and it holds smaller details very well. It reminds me of a chewing gum a bit. When you chew it, it's soft and chewable, and when you stick it under the table, it becomes as hard as a stone. The same is with monster clay, except I do not recommend chewing it. Or do I? The downside for me, because I am very lazy, is that you have to bake it because otherwise it is impossible to shape it. It's simply too hard, and I only use medium hardness. What the glarbal schnorps would the hard one be? Like diamond hard? Tardigrade hard? Jason Statham hard? And now is the time when you can subscribe to my channel and like this video right over there. Still waiting? Super Sculpey is a polymer clay. Hardness can be original, medium blend, mix of original and firm. It's one of those clays that I have love-hate relationship with. It is gorgeous for making textures and it blends into itself beautifully. It even looks like flesh, and when you bake it, it hardens like a stone. So it's perfect to make little figurines. It's not like the other clays which soften in the heat. Sculpey hardens in the heat. Keep that in mind. Do not cook anything that's incomplete because you will have no chance to fix it later. Also, it is the crumbliest glarbal schnorps I have ever tried. If you leave it for maybe an hour, it would become so stiff that it would crumble everywhere. And as a bonus, it stains your working surfaces. I tried to use Sculpey as a prosthetic making material, but it was a mess to work with as well, and since I work with plaster, it heats up a little bit while curing, and that makes Sculpey unsalvageable for a second use. It was an expensive experience. Sculpey doesn't dry in the air, but it does become garbage if you'll accidentally leave it on the sun. So overall, although very easy to work with, but Super Sculpey is quite a high maintenance clay suitable for making one-of-a-kind figurines only, but I have to admit that they look fantastic. Now I've tried multiple of air dry clays, and I have to say my favorite ones are the oily ones. They are very smooth and easily moldable, however, as the name suggests, they dry in the air. It is nice when you do the whole mask on the head in big chunks of this clay or sculpt some torso or other huge object, but it will dry out while you're doing a small local wound, for example. I'm not even talking about complicated face features such as wrinkles. And yes, you can wet it, but it might become very muddy very easily. Pros are working with it, but if you're new in this area, you better choose some other kind of clay. This is the least favorite clay for me. I often just use it to make a wall of clay when I make negative molds out of plaster. I hope this video was helpful, and if you like, consider subscribing and press that like button. All of the links of clays will be listed down below in the description box, as well as my Patreon. And see you in my next video about how to make sculpting tools at home.